This is the Phanteks XT Pro Ultra. I know the box says otherwise, and before opening it up, I thought I was going to be reviewing the XT Pro, but got a nice surprise once I pulled off the plastic to find the Pro Ultra. Free upgrade for the win. But which XT Series case should you buy? They're all close in price and even closer in design, but these three cases each are unique in their own special way. Hey YouTube, I'm Danny, welcome to the channel. The XT lineup is Phanteks' newest series of mid-tower chassis, centered around affordability, compatibility, and styling. They've got something for everyone. The XT View is for those that want that fish tank look to show off your components. The XT Pro Ultra provides insane airflow with vibrant RGB fans, while the standard Pro comes with no RGB and only a single 120mm fan. When it comes to color choices, you've got two options, black or white. At least when we're talking about the View or Pro Ultra. The Pro only comes in black. Now the price is the same no matter which color you choose. The View costs $89.99 US, the Pro Ultra is $79.99, and the Pro is $59.99. Since release, they've given $10 off the Pro and a $10 mail-in rebate for the Pro Ultra over on Newegg. But how many of us really take the time to mail those things in? This video will focus on the Pro and Pro Ultra, as they're essentially the same case minus the RGB fans. If you want a deep dive on the View, I already made that video and you can find it right up here. But stick around because there's some information that I didn't know when I made that one that I now know. Why don't I give you the full walk around of the case and then I can move on to my build notes. If you're not interested in this part, timestamps are included below in the description for you to jump ahead. You can access the inside by loosening two captive thumb screws, slide the glass panel toward the rear, and then lifting it away. The inside is open and has room for even the largest components. The case's outer dimensions are 450 by 230 by 500 millimeters. It accommodates eATX up to 280 millimeters wide, ATX, micro ATX, and mini ITX size motherboards. In addition to the standard style front connector boards, all XT chassis are compatible with the new back connector ones. Phanteks has confirmed support for MSI's Project Zero and ASUS's BTF motherboards. Walking around the motherboard tray, you've got two small cable cutouts at the top, with one higher than the other. But there's also a hidden cutout at the front of the case that looks like it could be for AIO fan cables. The side is almost entirely a cable cutout, and the bottom has cutouts at both sides of the motherboard. All the pass-throughs are beveled to prevent chafing, but there's no rubber grommets included. Remember how open I said the inside of the case is? I wasn't lying. CPU air cooler height clearance is 184 millimeters, GPU length is 415, and the width is 184, and your power supply max length is 270. Let's talk about fan and radiator support. There's three 140mm ARGB fans pre-installed on the front of the XT Pro Ultra, with another 140 at the rear. These are all cable managed and daisy chained to give you a smooth build experience. The XT Pro only comes with one 120mm fan at the rear, and it's not RGB. I guess that's where the big cost savings comes from. The top has mounting options for up to three 120 or two 140mm fans, and up to a 360mm radiator. Yes, a 240 or 280mm will fit as well. The front can fit three 120 or three 140mm fans and a max radiator size of up to 240mm. The rear fits a 120 or 140 for either fan or radiator. They also give you space for three 120mm fans on the power supply shroud to pull additional air to your GPU from the basement. Speaking of the basement, it has plenty of ventilation up top, and the pattern can be seen all over the case. It looks like a brick building. There's a beveled cutout for GPU cable pass-through, but you won't be able to use that if you decide to put a fan there. There are mounting holes for Phanteks' premium vertical GPU bracket too. I guess you could use other brands' vertical brackets and riser cables, but do so at your own risk because they might fit or they might not. Moving to the front, things look pretty standard. The whole front panel is fine mesh and can be removed by pulling on both sides to release the snap tabs. It's a little tighter than I thought it would be. Behind the panel, you can see the three included M25 140 fans. Let me stop you right there. No, you cannot move these fans to the front of the case and then put the cover on in an attempt to fit a 360mm radiator. I tried, it doesn't work. You can tell it wasn't meant to be since the power supply shroud cutout is only big enough for the fans themselves. Spinning the case around, the backside is accessed the same way as the front. You loosen 2 captive thumb screws, then pull the panel back and away. Just like the View, it was on so tight you really had to yank it out. You can fit up to 5 2.5-inch SSDs and 1 hard disk drive, or up to 2 3.5-inch drives and 3 SSDs. The 2.5-inch SSD tray is removable using a thumb screw to allow access to the back of the motherboard for cooler mounting. There's also a decent amount of cable tie-down points spread across the back. Speaking of tie-downs, the accessory box for all XT cases has the most cable ties I've ever seen included with a PC case. The plastic bag gives you a plethora of motherboard and SSD, hard drive, fan, and thumb screws. They also have extra standoffs and the removal tool. The nice thing is they don't waste a ton of little baggies for each part. They just give you an easy to follow instruction manual with pictures to find the right screws for each job. This case comes with a mess of cables, but it honestly isn't as complex as it looks. If you separate the case connectors from RGB and fan connectors, it's easy. You've got a solid front panel connector. I can really appreciate these. HD audio, a USB Type-C, and a USB 3.0 connector. The RGB fans come pre-wired and routed. All the RGB is daisy chain connected and plugs into your motherboard via a 5-volt 3-pin addressable RGB header. Your fans, on the other hand, have 2 connectors. One is for the front fans and one is for the rear exhaust, and they are 4-pin PWM connectors. In the basement, there's a mesh dust filter that's easily removed from the back of the case. I think it's made out of vinyl. The hard drive tray can also be removed using a thumb screw and sliding it out before lifting away. This is where your accessories box is mounted. Let's look at the top. There's a magnetic removable dust filter, and like I said, there's a pattern that's exactly like the one that's on top of your power supply shroud. For I/O, you've got a power button, reset, a combined headphone and microphone jack, USB Type-C, and a USB 3.0 Type-A. If you're getting value from this video, anything at all, I wouldn't mind if you gave it a like for the YouTube algorithm. Here's the part of the video where I give you my build notes. I'm not going to do any thermal or noise testing with this case because there's other reviewers out there that do those types of things that are way more thorough than I am. I'll just cover the positives and negatives with the build process and give you my honest opinion. The very first thing that I like is the one-piece front panel connector. A lot of PC cases in this price range give you multi-point front panel connectors, which means they have like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 cables that go to it, and you have to fight to plug them in, and it's very difficult, and they're so small that it makes it tedious. So I can really appreciate the front panel connector that's just one solid connector, especially if it's your first time building. The second thing that I really liked is the RGB fans are daisy chained together, which only requires one 5-volt addressable connector. This means if your motherboard only has one header on it, you can connect all these fans to that one single point. And you don't have to try to get a splitter or a Y cable or anything like that. These are all already connected and you just plug it onto your motherboard. Another thing that I really like is this beveled channel right here. When you're unscrewing the PCI slot covers, you can sometimes wear away the case. I've got like a textured screwdriver, so it'll kind of grind the cases that I use it on in the back here. And with this channel cut out, it allows for the movement of your screwdriver without actually messing up the case. And the beauty is when your side glass is on, you don't even know that this is here because there's a black channel around the outside of the side glass to kind of hide everything. So I'd say that's a really nice touch for Phanteks on the DIY part. Speaking of DIY, in the back, you've got so much cable management space. Even though this is a more standard PC case layout, you do have a lot of space behind the motherboard tray. That coupled with the extra cable tie-down points in just the right spots. It doesn't have an overabundance of them, but they are located in the right spots for you to do nice cable management. And even if you're a novice PC builder, this case is real easy to build in. One of my last favorite things is that there's so much room for components. I could have easily fit a 360mm radiator up top here and still had room for this motherboard with the massive heat sinks and stuff. Plenty of space in here, but the footprint is not overly huge. So really nice that there's a lot of space for those big components that we've got these days. Now, of course, no case is perfect, and there are a couple negatives, so why don't I cover those now? Even though I really like that the RGB connectors are daisy chained, which allows you to use a 5-volt header on your motherboard for one header for all of the fans, they're daisy chained together using a proprietary connector specific to Phanteks. So if you want to add other fans, say maybe on the top here, that aren't Phanteks products, you either have to use another motherboard header separately, or you would have to get some kind of adapter to be able to connect the 5-volt header on the other products, say a liquid cooler or something, to the Phanteks connectors. Second thing I had an issue with is the bottom cable cutouts on the very basement section are for the bottom of your motherboard. They're at the ends of the motherboard. There is nothing in the center to be able to bring your cables up through. I either would have liked a little bit more length for the actual cables of the case, or more cutouts at the bottom to be able to bring your cables up through where the actual headers on the motherboard are. Now I'm just being a little nitpicky, but I would have liked the option for a 360 millimeter radiator up front in this case, or even a 420 radiator, because all you have to do is create the cutout on the power supply shroud and you could have fit it easily. I mean, there's plenty of space up there. You could see the 3060 that I've got in here does not come close to these fans. I guess if you're gonna be using a really big graphics card, some of the new 4080, 4090s or whatever, they would get a little close to the fans and then a radiator would just get in the way, but I would have liked the option just the same. Even though the cable management is really good in this case, the back panel is really tight clearances. So in order to put it on, I had to lay the case down on the face here and then use gravity to push the panel down, slide it across, and then tighten the thumb screws. I had to do the same thing with the XT View as well when I built in that. Not really a big deal, but if you're gonna put on and take off the back panel a lot and you don't wanna have to move your case around, it's a very tight fit. One extra thing I wanna cover is the differences between the XT Pro, Ultra, and View. Since I already made the video on the View, this is easy for me to cover. All three chassis share the same internal structure. In addition to the glass panel at the front, the XT View has a cutout on the motherboard tray to allow airflow into the case from the two included fans. This is accompanied by a ventilated back panel. On the other two cases, these areas are solid. There's more ventilation along the side of the power supply shroud to allow extra airflow to the GPU. The View also has a full RGB light strip on top of the power supply shroud that's connected to the fan RGB as well. One other thing that the XT View has over the Pro and Pro Ultra is an RGB controller that the fans plug into. It's located on the top of the case, and the I/O has two extra buttons, a color and mode to control the fans and RGB light strip. That's really all there is to it. The rest is the same. That's a lot of stuff for only a few extra bucks. The Phanteks XT series of cases is a great entry into the budget market. They've got something for everyone. If you want to go ultra budget, but still want something that provides solid cooling capacity and internal space, the XT Pro is for you. Looking for the next step up? The XT Pro Ultra adds 4 RGB fans for only $20 more. Want to go all the way? Then jump onto the XT View, where you get the same space you'll find in the rest of the XT lineup, stunning 90-degree glass views, and an RGB controller for the included fans and light strip. For $90 or less, you get a great case with tons of features that can be used for pretty much any build. And if you want to pick one of these up for yourself, I'll leave them linked down below in the description. They're affiliate links, but they don't cost you anything extra. They just help out the channel and allow me to continue providing you with this great content that you love. Because if you didn't love it, you would have clicked off of this video a long time ago. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe below and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our great PC related content. And as I always say, I'm Danny with Danny's Tech Channel, and I'll see you in the next one.